right? I'm totally hooked. But that's not the reason why it's the brightest idea, although the whales are a huge part of it because they're whales. The main reason is because it's one of the first times that I truly decided to stop listening to my brain. And I know that sounds counterintuitive to having a bright idea, but it works. It's not that I stopped using my brain, it's that I stopped listening to it. And I know that sounds confusing, so I'll explain. If you think about it, how many of you have ever decided to not do something because you were afraid of how it was going to work out, because you weren't good enough, you weren't smart enough, or maybe it wasn't your place to do so, and that you just belong on the path that you're on because that's where you belong. And that dreams are just that, they're dreams. Most of us have this running narrative in our brain, and it tells us how to feel and what to do and what we can and can't do. But what most of us don't realize is that this running narrative, it isn't us. It's just a product of our experiences, whether they're good or bad. And the brain is so powerful that it can create its own dialogue. And we so very easily confuse this dialogue with who we are, never realizing that we have the power to rewrite the script. So the thing about the boat is this. We already had a boat. I was still married at the time, and my husband took us out all the time on it, but we had what I coined incompatible boating styles. He liked to go really fast over the waves and go fishing and tubing and just crazy stuff. And I just wanted to go to the sandbar at Sandy Neck and drop the anchor and sit on the beach and chill out. Or go out on a calm day in the middle of the bay and just cut the engine and float. So after a couple of years of us going back and forth, arguing about what the heck we're going to do when we go out on the boat, he got a little frustrated and just said, "Why don't you just get your own boat?" And I was like, my first instinct was like, no way. Are you crazy? I can't learn how to drive a boat. My narrative instantly told me that I just simply was not capable of learning how to do something like that. And I believed it. So, we had the dialogue for a couple of weeks, and after some time passed, I did something differently that was rare for me at the time. I decided to think, maybe I can do this. And the moment that I started challenging that inner narrative is when the whole thing changed. The dialogue was not so clear anymore. We started shopping for boats, and I started to feel excitement and fear, a little bit of fear, because when you challenge something that you've been telling yourself you can't do, that's difficult. And so is learning how to captain a boat. I settled on a 16-foot Wellcraft center console, a very tiny, like a surfboard with an engine. But it was small enough that I could figure out things on. And there's a lot to figure out when you're boating. Do you have any idea how hard it is to back a trailer down a ramp? When there's a line of impatient boaters staring at you, they're waiting to get off on the water, and you have to turn the steering wheel this way to get the trailer to go that way, and it makes no sense. I shed more than a few tears out there, and often wish that I could become invisible. But after a few weeks, or more like a few months, maybe a season, things started to change and something really cool happened. And what happened is I started to get the hang of it. And you know what happens when you start to get the hang of something that you've convinced yourself that you're not capable of doing is that you become empowered. And before long, I was receiving compliments on my boating skills out there. And I particularly enjoyed the ones from the women who would be standing on the dock, applauding, yelling out, "You're my hero!" And they're standing next to their husbands who are staring at me in awe as I independently load my boat onto the trailer like a pro. And I'm not going to lie, I kind of dig that because I feel unstoppable out there now. There's not too many female captains out on the bay. And that feeling of unstoppable and empowerment has transferred into almost every other aspect of my life. From getting divorced, to changing jobs, to being able to say I love you again, to overcoming my fear of public speaking by entering Story Slam. I going to work out? Absolutely not. But that doesn't matter. What matters is that I know I can try anything I want and that I can flip the script regardless of what my brain is telling me I can or cannot do. And that's awesome. So I'd like all of you guys to think about it and figure out what's your vote.